Hello, folks, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Love, here with your AEW Dynamite review for this past Wednesday, which was a sound show of Dynamite, very good, in which advanced more importance around the Owen Hart Cup. And as we are a couple weeks away from Forbidden Door, got some things that they need to square to as far as Forbidden Door, the TNT title ladder match, etc. And as well, that was announced last night was Blood and Guts. Blood and Guts will be making its return as noted by the Bucks, Young Bucks. And that will be July 24th. Team AEW again versus the Elite. So it's interesting because, again, Anarchy in the Arena, they won that. And, these are type of matches that need to be blow-off matches. Instead, they're just builders and feuds. And the way it seems is that it's built around the Elite versus Team AEW. Which, I mean, if people are scratching their heads, it's because, well, this is supposed to be a hostile takeover type of scenario, but we see Tony Khan, Christopher Daniels, Young Bucks, the Elite, it can be head scratching with multiple authority figures, but yeah, Blood and Guts been announced, and we'll see. We'll see down the road, but yeah, Team Elite versus Team AEW is the current card right now, and the Elite tried to recruit Swerve Strickland, the AEW World Champion, who had a few segments on the show, but it was not to their liking. Certainly, I don't think anyone's surprised. But yeah, so got that announcement. And then from Collision. So I wanted to, but didn't make a recap video talking about what happened on SmackDown and Collision from the past week, but what happened was concerning the Owen Hart Cup, which was the theme as far as the weekend and last night was. So, for starters, for the women from Collision. So, Toni Storm announced that Mariah May, her pupil, will be in the Owen Hart Cup for the women. So right away, you can pencil in the projected winner and Mariah May, the pupil winning the tournament to eventually take down her instructor at Owen. It's certainly up there. Then we got the news of Chris Statlander entering the tournament. I think that's a solid move for her now as a heel and going forward because, she's won the TBS title. It's time for her to move forward. And Will Nightingale, potentially this adds to their feud. I don't know if their first match will be in the tournament, but they can certainly build to their feud by, say, costing each other their matches in the tournament. Certainly an idea, but great. 3 stars for the women. As for the men, so last week we heard Bryan Danielson declare for the tournament, which was a great start. Great start. Then last night we got 2 very solid additions to the Owen Hart Cup tournament. We got Shingo Takagi from New Japan. Last year we had Kojima in tournament. This year, Takagi, Shingo compared against Kojima is definitely one of the bigger names today still in New Japan, so that's a plus. And potentially, because Kojima faced CM Punk last year at Forbidden Door, and that was his, match in the tournament. This year, this could potentially be Shingo's, or may just be a way to set up for him a match at Forbidden Door and being his match for the tournament, because it's weird thinking about it now. The finals take place in July, just a few weeks away. So they're going to have to narrow out the field probably within the next week. And then, because so far we got 3 for the men and 3 for the women. So, yeah, they got to probably narrow out next week. And yeah, like I said, Shingo may have his match at Forbidden Door. So that's what we'll start off and then go from there. Not just Shingo, but Pac as well. Pac. The bastard Pac. Pac, we always know he's one of the best currently in AEW and all pro wrestling, and certainly gives him a reason, with winner receiving a world title match out in the UK at Wembley, and we know Pac is from the UK. He certainly would like his opportunity to wrestle for a world title in his home country. Will that happen? Probably not, but we know Pac is certainly one of the best and certainly adds another threshold, another big, unique name, certainly to the tournament. So that's great to see. As far as Dynamite itself, it was, like I mentioned earlier, sound show, solid, nothing spectacular. The main event, Will Ospreay and Fenix, which was a solid main event, in which we got a good start off and war of words with Will Ospreay and Swerve of their world top match. But yeah, some furthering himself, MJF and Roosh, etc. And yeah, more stuff on the show, but nonetheless, I'll get to it all. But First, anyways, guys, thank you all for joining me here on the podcast today. Of course, if you guys haven't already, the big block for subscribe is off in the corner or where you can find it. Help out. And yeah, subscribe if you guys haven't already. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you. And let's get started. So, first things first, speaking of the world champion, which it's definitely more fulfilling when you hear the world champion, is bookends of the show, or at least first or last, because it just adds to the mystique of the world title. So, okay, I don't know what's with my microphone, but okay. Anyways, so Swerve came out, talked about his match against Ospreay at Double or Nothing, did praise him, said that there were 2 killers in the main event, but then he said, well, perhaps 1, because now it is Killer Instinct long ago, and how it was last year when he beat Kenny Omega after Indoor, telling out what he's done since, saying that when he fought in his AEW debut as official AEW wrestler, facing off against Takeshita at Revolution, saying he saw the assassin there. And fast forward to Dynasty, he saw it versus Bryan Danielson. At Double or Nothing against Roderick, he said he didn't really see it, and mentioned how the hesitancy, there's a reason his nickname is Killshot, because if you don't pull the trigger, he said, he certainly will. So, well on a bit, talking about being a fighting champion and that as well, but mentioned how unlike these EVPs who have yet to defend their titles since winning them at Dynasty, then all of a sudden we get interrupted by the Elite, the Young Bucks, Okada, Jack Perry. Okada, again, hilarious. He said, whose house? It's my house, bitch. That's the famous word for Okada now, I think we can say. But yeah, anyways, so Bucks apologized for Okada's language and tell him about he's eager when it comes to defending his friends and EVPs. So he talked about their dominance the last few months, and that, well, they've took out Kenny Omega. They've injured Eddie Kingston. Half of the AEW roster is injured thanks to them. Now, another thing from the weekend. So, Dax Harwood of FTR spoken a video over the weekend saying that after Dynasty, he's noticed a hematoma of sorts in his back, and it's been causing him excruciating pain, I mean, he's known his pain ever for the last few months, but he's up to fight through it. But after the latter spot at Dynasty, he certainly felt it. And then saying that one time he tried to put ice on it and then it grew to the size of a football, saying that the pain he just could not tolerate or put off it much longer, so he's going to be out for some time. He and Cash Wheeler, it sucks. FTR, yeah, because Young Bucks have been in a weird state, the last, because they won the titles. I mean, really, since Sting retired and Darby and Sting had to vacate the titles, it's been a weird state of the titles because the Bucks, who lost that match at Revolution, won them in a tournament and then ultimately have not defended them since. So, yeah, it's pretty weird, but they've been building something with the Acclaimed, which, I get to in a sec, but so Nick Jackson talked about the bots trolls on social media, which I mean, true to a point, because if they're not invested, it is what it is. So they've been hearing that they're not violent enough, so they opted to challenge AEW's best to the most violent match in AEW, and that is Blood and Guts. Now, I mean, just came off Anarchy in the Arena, and the barbed wire steel cage match with Edge and Malachi Black, or Adam Copeland. And who coincidentally, my new shirt came in the other day. So I'm wearing that now, if you haven't noticed already. But calling that the most violent match in AEW so soon after seeing those two matches, I mean, it's a little of an overkill, certainly. But so they got in the ring, they tried to recruit Swerve, saying that they respect his style, he's young, he seems fun. So opted to try to recruit him to be a part of Team Elite when it does happen. So they gave him some custom shoes of the Reeboks, and Swerve gave some reasons given to Prince Nana, who ultimately threw him in the crowd, who some fans got some shoes. So there you go, Reeboks from the Young Bucks. So yeah. Anyway, after the decline, Matt Jackson got pissed and talked about what's this buzzing. Oh, it's an injury bug. And saying it's landed on you. So Bucks don't call us squared up, for a fight. And all of a sudden we hear the Acclaimed music hits. And the Acclaimed, Billy Gunn, chime out for a save, and then Elite hightail it out of the ring, and Christopher Daniels, the surgeon, or whatever you call it, for Tony Khan, the acting manager for Tony Khan, whichever, was out there and telling how, about the ladder match, about the qualifying matches, saying that he needs everyone met or out from the arena except for Jack Perry, who's got his qualifying match up next versus Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes. So, I'll be honest. I don't really talk about the referees that much, but I will certainly say that Aubrey Edwards, and it's unfortunate how AEW sometimes makes their officials look, but this is not the finest job for Aubrey Edwards. Certainly for a number of reasons. So, talk on it after. So, Jack Perry exposed the middle turnbuckle. So, they're on the outside. Dustin was both open. They exposed the concrete, but ultimately, Dustin dumped Jack Perry onto the concrete. Dustin back in the ring hit a snap power slam for a near fall. But Jack Perry ultimately won here. He hit a low blow and then a right knee shot for the win, the same way he beat Bryan Danielson at Double or Nothing. And Jack Perry qualifies for the Forbidden Door ladder match for the TNT Championship. Jack Perry, night and day from the last time he was in AEW. And, yeah. Certainly great to see, his look, his demeanor. Certainly the way he cuts promos now, it's only better. And, much to go up about this segment. So, first of all, Jack Perry, we knew he's going to qualify. Dustin Rhodes, you love him. Love that he's got a new lease on life. And AEW being able to finish on his terms. But yeah, Jack Perry, you knew he's going to qualify here. And that he's the favorite to win the TNT Championship at the Forbidden Door. Now, I'd be lying so far out of 3 if I'd say I'd rather Jack Perry win right now over Takeshita, but with the way it seems, Young Bucks have the tag titles. Okada has the Continental Crown Championship. And Jack Perry left without a title. So, if you want to deem this hostile takeover type of deal, then Jack Perry, needs to have gold of his own. And, what better way? I'm sure he would deem better for it, for eventually winning the title from Copeland. But here or there, he's going to get his crack at Double or Nothing or Forbidden Door. So we'll see. As far as, Dustin Rhodes. So yeah, Dustin was clearly not going to win. Dustin, it's always great to see him wrestle. Still being able to do it at his age. Again, being able to finish career on his terms. But at the same time, it feels like more often than not, he ends up bleeding in his matches as well. besides Moxley, had that stigma for the longest time, then for a bit, he never bleeded in a match, but now, suspect and back onto Sigma is what it is. But yeah, the more times you do it, simply put, loses less value. Simply put as that. Especially on random Dynamite. And then Aubrey Edwards, I mentioned. So let's see. So what happened was, okay, so I mentioned Jack Perry exposed the turnbuckle. He was being yanked by Dustin. Jack Perry ripped the turnbuckle pad off the middle of the turnbuckle. Now, it was the middle, but still. Aubrey just threw out of the ring. And then when Jack Perry hit the low blow, Dustin Rhodes kind of nonchalantly shoved her out of the way. And she was like, bit lost, so to speak. Or that was how she was supposed to look. And ultimately, Jack Perry got the low blow and the win. So, but yeah, definitely tell. So, yeah. Next up on the show. So yeah, Jack Perry on the Double Nothing or Forbidden Door. So it seems like right now it's him, Mark Briscoe, and Takeshita. We'll see how it fares for. I imagine there'll be. Feels like a 6-man ladder match. Because, yeah, so far we have 2 Dynamites left. So, or 2 weeks left. So, it's possible that we get maybe a guy from Collision and then 2 more on Dynamite. So, yeah. Next up, Mark Briscoe. So, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Kyle Fletcher, or Kyle Reily, they were all backstage being interviewed by Renee Paquette, and certainly Mark Briscoe, his promos are hilarious. No other way to say it, they're just hilarious. How outlandish he kind of seems to be, silly, but is who he is. And then it was interesting because Orange Cassidy talked about someone having his back after all this, and Will Nightingale appeared. So we'll see, or we certainly saw later in the show. But, yeah, we'll talk about it. So, next up was Roosh versus Men. That was the last name. So, but pretty much as you expect, a beatdown on the outside, back in the ring, Bull's Horns by Roosh for the win. And there you go. After he yanked Justin Roberts' microphone out of his hands and put his foot over Rootsman back in the ring saying, just like all you typical Americans, weak. So, proceeded to beat down more Rootsman. Then put him back in the corner. Looked like he was about to hit Bull's horns again. And then, there you go. MJF's music hits. Crowd enjoys it. He has his hands taped, ready to go, ready to fight. So they were down to the ring. They brawled. Referees obviously tried to intervene, but they got taken out at officials. And then it was chaos. And then, anyways, after that, they finally brawled into the crowd, to the backstage, to the point where MJF actually powered Rouge through a table, and then they were finally being held back by locker room associates, etc. And some more was restored. And then we cut back, and it's interesting as Excalibur noted that on commentary next week to open the show, no commercial breaks, MJF versus Rouge. So not at Forbidden Door. So certainly interesting because open the show, no commercial breaks, on Dynamite next week. So we know MJF's promo last week got near 1 million viewers. Now, certainly a question to see if he can top that number next week with his return match. We'll see, but the way it seems, because AEW has shown that they'll do a time limit draw if needed, or no contest. And with the way it seems, with the opening the show, no commercial breaks, I imagine this match will be a no contest, and we got a rematch at Forbidden Door, and then perhaps after MJF goes or proceeds into the Owen Hart Cup, which would certainly be a great get for the Cup. And again, winner gets a world title opportunity at Owen. MJF did not like how his 2023 ended. Being injured and losing his title. So, can be sort of redemption period within the Owen Hart Cup, and then who knows, perhaps Adam Cole and the Kingdom, they cost him his spot. Who knows? Inside the tournament. But yeah, that's kind of the thinking process going into next week. Trios match: Orange Cassidy, Kyle Reily, and Mark Briscoe versus Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, and Roderick Strong. Certainly some trios here. So, yeah, Trent, now obviously officially Don Callis family, was with the heels, and Don Callis was on commentary. Good, high-paced match. Not really much here, but, fun match, I'll give it that. So, Mark hit Tope on top, preceded by Zeuxis by Fletcher. Then Osea on the action, so he dived to the outside. Redneck Kung Fu back in the ring by Briscoe. Diving DDT by Orange for a near fall. Then a big kick followed by Fletcher. So Orange Cassidy was on the ropes, and Mark Briscoe was on the outside. He hit a blind tag. So Fletcher was dealing with OC, not realizing the hot tag. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. Been up since 5, so if I butcher some words, and yeah. But after that, I'm going to sleep. After this, I'm going to sleep. So Fletcher hit a brainbuster on the turnbuckle. Went for a cover on Cassidy, but he was not the legal man. So then Briscoe followed with Froggy Bow, but thanks to Roderick Strong, that was broken up. Then, due to interference by Takeshita beyond the referee's back, big forearm and then a running knee, followed with a pile driver by Fletcher, got the win over Mark Briscoe. First time and really ever a pile driver has won it on AEW, which is fun to see. After all the no selling, certainly for pile drivers. So interesting. So Fletcher is the Ring of Honor TV champion. Mark Briscoe is the Ring of Honor World Champion. Now, I'll watch Ring of Honor, but if they're the champions, the TV champion being the world champion, it's probably more than likely they're going to have a match in the future. So that's for Ring of Honor purposes. As far as AEW purposes, it didn't really boost anything going into, I guess, Forbidden Door. But what happened after was really probably the most important thing. So afterwards, Willow, because the odds were not great outside in the ring, we heard Willow's music play, but she didn't come out as Chris Statlander attacked Willow Nightingale and left her laying on top of the stage, in which Stokely cut a unique promo, just the way he speaks. It's this dynamic again with him and Chris Statlander. It's unique, certainly, but yeah. Anyway, so it's funny, they actually took pictures after, and yeah, that was hilarious. But yeah, furthering that feud, I guess. There you go. Shingo Takagi declared for the Owen Hart tournament. He had a vignette talking about how he's ready for the Owen Hart Cup and how he's the Japanese Dragon, and this Year of the Dragon, American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, his last full-time year as a pro wrestler. We may get the Battle of the Dragons at Forbidden Door. Bryan versus Shingo. We'll see. For the Owen Hart Cup. We'll see. Christopher Daniels. He was up next. He was in backstage and said, according to Tony Khan, Our favorite match stipulation. Yeah. So, Daniel has talked about how for the elites, next week, the Young Bucks and Okada would have eliminator matches. Hence, if they lose, their opposition get title shots in the future. So, it was announced later in the show, though, Young Bucks will be facing the Acclaimed. Now, Okada, his opponent was not announced. Now, it's interesting. A couple weeks ago, Jay White mentioned Okada's name multiple times. And, since Juice has returned, they're kind of doing a freebird rule with the Trios titles with Bullet Club Gold, in which he anointed, Jay White did, of Juice Robinson as fourth of the Trios titles. So, basically taking his place, and then Jay White can pursue, singles career again, because that's where he thrives the best. And yeah, so but no, with AEW, they don't like really doing heels versus heels. So I don't know about Jay White versus Okada. Plus, that's a match kind of want for a pay-per-view. So I don't know. We'll see. Which, by the way, let me just say about the Acclaimed. So, the Acclaimed could be in Blood and Guts. Fine. They're trying to revive them, so to speak. They've been cold relatively since. And it's so because at the end of the day, their gimmick has, in a way, peaked. And I kind of wish for more serious side of them. And I guess they're trying to make that work the last few weeks. But yeah, the Acclaim can be in Blood and Guts, but Billy Gunn does not need to be in Blood and Guts. That's certainly my criteria for that. Samoa Joe and Hook. This was a bit silly, but it worked. Hook has been under the tutelage of Samoa Joe. So, last week, obviously, they got interrupted by the Premier Athletes. So this week, they ambushed them on the way to their match and made for something. Shibata apparently has been posing as a cameraman as of late, which is kind of hilarious in a way. Depends who you are. But this was a dominant performance as you expect. So Hook tried his best version of Samoa Joe's walkaway spot. It's like when there's a diving opponent, he just walks out of the way. Hook kind of stepped back, and in a way, Samoa Joe gave his approval. So, anyways, it was dueling chokes, and then a Redrum by Hook, in which got him the win. Shibata even choked out Mark Sterling at ringside, which was probably the most enjoyable part of the match. And the trio apparently stood tall after the match. You know, I like this pairing. It's unique, but I like the pairing. And, you know, Samoa Joe and Hook certainly do not need to be fighting for tag titles. But, to be honest, as a trio, you know, Hook, Samoa Joe, and Shibata, their styles work well together. And as well, you know, we know Shibata can't speak English. We know Hook, he's working on his promo ability, but Samoa Joe, you know, is the mouthpiece and can rub off on these two stallions in AEW, and it could work as a trio. It may work. We'll see. But they certainly need better opposition. More serious opposition, because all due respect to Tony Nese, you know, great physique and whatnot, did very good in WWE for his time, but here in AEW, really, what has he done? Ari Daivari, same. And then that was a solid encounter between Mercedes Mone and Zeuxis. That's her name. From CMLL for the TBS Championship. This, was a solid match. You know, now, CMLL talent, you know, people can complain, you know, at the end of the day, it's Forbidden Door season, so I get it. And basically another warm-up match for Mercedes, which she seems more confident with each match again, because again, you know, she hadn't wrestled in a year prior to Double or Nothing, so it's great to see for her. She, seems more confident in the ring, and saw a match with Sky Blue, or saw a match with Willow, saw a match with Sky Blue, but this was certainly her best match, certainly being back in AEW, and against Fletcher. Now, I have not seen much of Fletcher, but I can definitely tell it should be a fun match at Forbidden Door, but this match too was good. So, Zeuxis hit a stout Liger Bomb from Fireman's Carry for a near fall. She went for it again, but this time Mercedes countered into a Hurricanrana for a near fall. Out of the corner after taking double knees by Zeuxis, Mercedes hit a Meteor out of the corner for 2. Zeuxis followed up with a lung blower. Good move for a near fall. But then finally Mercedes hit a Mone maker for the win. Good stuff. Solid showing by Zeuxis. You know, definitely wouldn't mind seeing her more. Because, she looked good in this match. So, good to see, you know, I get it, you know, CMLL talent, you know, it's not much care for some people, and especially with the men. But Zeuxis had very good showing here, and we'll see. Future sword, but we knew Mercedes going to win, and she's not going to be losing anytime soon. So we got a repeat promo. As the other day, a promo was uploaded of Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May. It was being replayed before this segment of Toni Storm and Mariah May. Mariah May thanked Toni Storm for entering her in the Owen Hart Cup. Said that she will not let her down. But then mentioned how Mina will be back next week and that there's going to be a contract signing. And that also for Rampage, Toni Storm is going to fight Alex Windsor, who I believe is the female wrestler dating Will Ospreay. I have not seen her wrestle, but who knows? I may have to tune in to see if she's as good as her significant other. If not, we'll see. But yeah, anyways, contract signing for next week, and yeah, for Toni Storm and Mina. So it is certainly interesting, this love triangle dynamic, because, Mariah May is close to both Toni and Mina, so we'll see. And from what I gathered online, this was the least favorite part of the show. Thanks, guys. Yeah. So, last week, Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree had 4 segments. 4. Now, they were brief and they were cheesy but somewhat enjoyable. And again, I think we prefer these segments over in wrestling these days, if we had to pick. Now, this week, it was odd. So, first of all, they announced Big Bill as the Redwood Big Bill, which, I mean, that just adds on a weird nickname to a not so good wrestling name. I mean, we love Big Bill, but I think the consensus is he needs a better name. So then Brian Keith, I mean, this is not helping me generate or gather interest for Brian Keith, really. I mean, I love Big Bill. I love Jericho for what he's done. But yeah, it's like he's trying. So this TV time with Jericho, this basically is 2024 highlight reel. He almost sounds deluded out there in a weird way. But yeah, because you have the plant, you have the paper tree, and then you have the Tron out there that talk about TV time, and yeah. So then called out Private Party, which Private Party were not so inclined with what they had to say. I didn't really listen I just kind of skimmed through it, but yeah, Private Party, we're inclined with what they had to say. I mean, really, what's building? Because Private Party, great to see that Marquand's back healthy, so it seems. They need to be in the tag team division. Away from this. Whatever this is. But we'll see. Moxley. This was also announced the other day. Jon Moxley, bit of a promo, they will face or will pit against Jon Moxley and Tetsuya Naito. Rematch for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Forbidden Door. Interesting move there. Interesting. So yeah, we'll see. Bullet Club Gold, or the Bang Bang Gang, whichever they're being called now. So we had Juice Robinson and the Guns backstage with Card Blade, and they were talking about the House of Black, talking about, well, they mentioned how they were the Collision Cowboys, talking about Collision was the house they built. So they issued a challenge, similarly, what's all House of Black about? They had the lights go on and then had it come on. So they issued a challenge for the Trios titles on Saturday for Collision. Definitely will tune in for that because that seems interesting. House Black, we know, deserves better. This is a pay-per-view level match, but they're opting to go with it here. We'll see. It's weird looking back now that Malachi Black, so Copeland broke his foot or his tibia in that match for the TNT title, and you can tell Malachi winning would definitely have a lot of people happy, but with Gangrel, not a surprise. Now, I'm sure people are wondering what these guys are in the TNT title qualifiers. Not to be found, but we're getting this match on Collision. We'll see. Which, by the way, hopefully Adam has a smooth recovery. Adam Copeland, yeah. I do not have a pure plank, but I do sometimes plank, and I tell you, it's a fun exercise, certainly, if you pay attention to it. Daniel Garcia versus a different looking Nick Comrotto. So I legitimately did not know that was Nick Comrotto. I mean, now, what's interesting about this match, not really the match, but the fact that they showed Will Ospreay and MJF watching in the back. Now, we know that Will Ospreay, particularly for Daniel Garcia, he has his sights set on the International Championship, which is Will Ospreay's. So that's one. MJF that's a wild card, but a potential feud down the line. I mean, again, two of the youngins, homegrown stars of AEW, or two of the more over homegrown talents. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, this symbol for Garcia, again, it looks like he shaved his beard, Comrotto did, because normally you see, it's like Comrotto, he has, long hair, the big beard, he looks like a caveman out there. But he kind of shaved the beard, and it looks more like Rick Rude-ish. And yeah, it was different. So, but Garcia won here with a red cross, I think is what he's saying, DT. And that was enough for the win. So kudos for him there. Yeah, Daniel Garcia. We'll see. We'll see. Main event time. So Pac declared for the Owen Hart Cup, saying that he's supposed to be a bastard, but lately he's been feeling like a bitch. But he's saying that he finds the redemption and saying that he has not had his Wembley moment, saying he won't do so when he beats everyone and wins the Owen Hart Cup and gets his rightful shot at the AEW World Championship at All In Wembley. And as far as Jay White and Bullet Club Gold, says that Death Triangle has not forgotten about what you guys have did to us. We shall see, because I made a comment after he declared for the tournament. I said, well, do we see Jay White declare for the Owen Hart Cup? Because, I mentioned him possibly facing Okada. Well, again, if you want to build this tournament and add more prestige to it, because we know what's at stake, Jay White being in singles again, it would certainly be much for Jay White to be in this tournament. And say Christian Cage, who wants another shot at the world title. But we'll see. Main event. Will Ospreay versus Ray Fenix for the International Championship. Clearly, I think people are expecting some crazy spectacle, high flying spots in this match. It was not very crazy in this match, because to a T, you can expect that from these two types of competitors, but it's even match given what they were given. You don't have to go balls to wall 200% every time, so can't appreciate it. And it was a bit of a different style match that they did last night, which was fun. So yeah, this is good. So early on, Fenix hit a springboard hurricane to the outside, followed a frog splash for a near fall. Then back to the end, or in the middle of the match, had a break. Ospreay went for a Spanish fly, but Fenix blocked it, and Will hit a modified looked like a Cell Airy crash for a near fall. Then back to the ring, they hit big exchange. Fenix hit on the offense, hit a crucifix bomb for a near fall, then a German suplex. Will would fire back, went for the Stormbreaker, but Fenix got into a victory roll for a near fall. After one missed attempt, Ospreay would eventually hit the Oscutter for a near fall. Fenix would then counter with another Hurricanrana for a near fall. So it looked like Fenix was going for his rolling cutter, but Ospreay countered with a mid-air elbow strike. And then, so Swerve was at ringside, in which Ospreay handed him the envelope that he requested Nana email to him or delivered to him as doorstep. So he handed him the envelope, and then so Ospreay was on the top rope, and then he glanced at Swerve, who was at ringside, and then touted the words to him that it's his house. So he proceeded to hit Fenix with a Swerve stomp, followed a hidden blade. 1, 2, 3, all in front of Swerve. That was enough for the victory. Will Ospreay retains. So Ospreay was happy. He rejoiced. Swerve not so much as he got into the ring. So Ospreay was happy. He held up his title, offered to shake Swerve's hand. Swerve looked pissed. I asked him, you think this game, you're the same immature chump that I saw 10 years ago. You need to be taking this seriously. You're the same guy I met 10 years ago, so on and so forth. Because you think you can handle the weight of both worlds. You can't. Well, you're not strong enough. You're not strong enough. He hit Will in the chest, just batted him with the title numerous times. And then all of a sudden, Ospreay ripped away the world title from Swerve's hand, and Swerve just looked back. And then Ospreay put the international title over one shoulder, the AEW World Championship over the other, and now with some visual as Swerve is looking on, and I think Ospreay said that I think I can handle both weights on my shoulders. So then Swerve took the title back from Ospreay. And then Swerve said in Ospreay's ear, "You're lucky we're still friends. Because if anyone else did this, I put him in the grave." So there's some extra animosity in a bit going in this match now, certainly, because so look, it could go any way, certainly at Forbidden Door, because honestly, the most logical thing is for Ospreay to win the title at Wembley. at Owen. But who knows? Maybe Tony Khan wants Ospreay to come in to Wembley with the title. Who knows? Or maybe there's a screwy finish where Swerve's been looking a little heel-ish, more on the tweener side, but, it wouldn't surprise me if Swerve retains in heel-like fashion, and then Ospreay wins the tournament, and then we get Swerve Ospreay Part 2 at Wembley, and then Ospreay gets his moment. So, we'll see. But overall, I thought it was a good episode of Dynamite. Again, not too major, but some furthering progression going in the Forbidden Door and weeks ago. So, for that, I can appreciate. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you did, haven't subscribed, please do so. There's a button. Click it. Get subscriptions as well. Yeah. If you guys like this video as well, leave a like, leave a thumbs up. Helps out me and the channel, you guys know. If you guys love the sport, as well as comment down below. Helps out too. But yeah. Anyways, guys, see you guys next time. Adios. I'm Aew Joe Hook. Peace.